Fantasy 14, but that was over the course of 13 years of time. And I hope to goodness I'm not, 16 isn't the one Final Fantasy that for the next 13 years is going to be the one thing to play. And we know that for a fact that won't be the case. But for $1 per amount of joy, I'm really excited for the physical stuff that I'm getting. But it will be interesting. How does that impact your like a review? Because that's really what I feel is the anger around reviews. All the reviews are like, in their mind, somebody has a level of value. So like if it's not a 10 out of 10, I've wasted my $90 or something like that. That somebody that generally feels. What do you think about that?
I think the upfront cost is real, especially for the people that feel the pressure to buy a PS5 to do it.
Yeah,
because their cost is a lot higher. And then they're questioning, well, what other games can I get for PlayStation 5? My two friends that bought a Switch explicitly to play a single Switch game also said, while I'm at it, I want to pick up a game to play with my kids because I grew up playing video games and their friends all play video games. And I think it'd be really great to have something we could share. And so they weren't just buying the one game. It was going to be a big purchase and they were going to buy 2 or 3 games. And so they're immediately picking it up with something else. PlayStation 5, that's a harder thing for me to answer because like I don't know what games kids play on PS5. I assume they're out there. I just don't know them, as opposed to like Mario Kart is a great choice for anybody to get. Mario Party's great. Smash is fun. There's just a lot of great, really easy to cover franchises that are super iconic. They get regularly updated. And so if all they ever do is buy anything with Mario in the name, anything with Zelda in the name, like you still have a complete Switch experience. I don't feel that way for like a casual gamer with PlayStation. To us, we're friends with people that play God of War and play Witcher and play like all these games. But my sister-in-law, when she beat Breath of the Wild and found out Tears of the Kingdom was that far out, she goes, what else can I play like it? And I recommended The Witcher. And she said it was way too intense, like from a mechanic standpoint.
Yeah.
She's just not that good at games and doesn't want to be. So like it wasn't a good fit. So, it's been considered one of the greats, but it just wasn't a good fit for somebody that casual. So like when you're talking about a review, what is somebody's upfront cost? Are they going to be expected to buy a PlayStation and the game? And then what are they looking for? Because Final Fantasy fans are pretty diverse. The one thing we have in common is we all know we're going to get a story, whether we're the players that want or we're the players who don't care as much. We're all going to get one, but that's about it. This one's also M-rated. So for anybody that's been enjoying maybe the Pixel remasters, you've been wanting to play it, and maybe your kids have been watching you play it.
Yeah,
that's not going to be an option with 16.
That's not the case.
This is a hard ask.
This is Dad's Father's Day gift from wife and kids of go play this game that you're not going to play around the kids. And that's actually like the critique that I had with Forspoken. That's the critique like where I go, how is it that Gears of War figured this out and these two games like Forspoken didn't have it? Just give me the ability to censor the words and language, because the visuals of the game are gorgeous, but I don't want her because she's dropping F-bombs all the time. Like I don't need that. Just give me the option to turn that off. And then in 16's case, hopefully it would be cool if they gave you that option to sit here and say, you know what, I don't need the language because I would like to play it around the kids, et cetera, because visually it'll be fine. Obviously, after I've played through the game, I should be able to kind of maybe put out a parent's guide of like, hey, generally speaking, 60% of this game easily play around the kids, no problems whatsoever. Here are the sections and timestamps of the things you might want to, enjoy on your own time, and something of that nature, because I think that's kind of an important. And Forspoken didn't give me that option, so I was like, from a parent, I was like, no, I wouldn't play this game around your kids, and that makes me as a parent limited in my more play style and time. And so that just kind of further kind of trickles down to, well, if I do have time to play a game and I can only play in this location of the house, therefore, it's, there's so many games that kind of just got cut, and Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters obviously is one of the key indicators of something bigger. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, or Chris, or anybody. When it comes to the PlayStation exclusives, there have been more of them have been both PS5, but also playable on PS4. I don't know. Maybe there's just a handful that you can count that are only PS5. 16 is only PS5, and in terms of volume of availability, I think the PS5 is up to 60 million units.
It's a lot.
Yeah, so you do have
It's not as many as the Switch, but it's a lot. It's some big number.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right, because it hasn't been out that long.
Right.
But for the first like several years of its release, that was based on literally manufacturing capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever number it is, it was the number they could ship. And so it's just now starting to be like, hey, you go into the store and they're sitting there. So I don't know what the total number is. And like M-rated doesn't mean it can't sell.
Yeah.
No,
I'm not. I'm actually.
We're talking about number of
that it's
units sold
M-rated,
here.
right?
Grand Theft Auto 5 is like the second greatest number of sales of all time, but it's not platform exclusive.
I'm excited as a like a fan of Final Fantasy who's grown up with this franchise. Like I'm excited to see them have that. I'm excited to see them take this road with the combat system because yes, like David says, Final Fantasy fans who aren't buying 16 and do own a PS5 because it's not turn-based. And what I say is like I want them to have the freedom to change and to evolve and not to be like limited by games that came before. This is the same thing where I got frustrated at the Halo fan base where they were like, no, it's got to go back to like Halo 1, Halo 2 roots. Otherwise it's going to fail. And it's like, well, okay, did it? Like, it's like, I'm like, guys, like you have it. You don't understand the demand. Like the world has changed, just because like you have a good fond memory of how something was 10, 20 years ago,
but to
doesn't mean that
from the other angle.
Yeah,
if you're going to change too much, right? This is one of the arguments against Ring of Power. I personally enjoyed Ring of Power, but like me saying that somewhere my brothers both just perked up and said something awful was just said in the world. Like they're both just immediately angry. They're going to have a terrible day. I'm sorry,
my text
guys.
Messages
they're
are
not just
going
to be so mad because I enjoyed it. But to their credit, like if you're going to change the universe that much, why are you using the IP? Like the beauty of Octopath Traveler is it's not a Final Fantasy game. As somebody that's enjoyed Final Fantasy games, I think it's a great recommendation that I also enjoyed Octopath Traveler games. And like, I think that there's a lot of overlap there, but they very explicitly did not name it Final Fantasy Traveler. And they could have, and they didn't. They could have changed a little bit of the branding throughout the game, and it could have easily been a Final Fantasy game. Swap some names, swap some places, and it would have been a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been a huge rebrand to get it there, but they didn't. So if you are going to change it a lot, I can understand why people are frustrated. So as a general rule, it would be nice if that was something that's more cohesive. That's not what Final Fantasy has done as an IP. Final Fantasy is not always turn-based. So that's just something that goes back. So they haven't delineated that, right? And that makes it very frustrating as a consumer, where these days, like, what's pushed into our feed is entirely based off these search algorithms, and so like things are better done. If you have 10 different packages, you should release them as 10 different products. Is kind of how these search algorithms have started functioning, and so it's how we're processing things. So for Final Fantasy to come out and me to go, hey, I liked a Final Fantasy product, would you also? It's like, oh, I like this ham sandwich, and it's like, great, you're really gonna love this salad that I put in a blender. It's like, why?
No.
Why? And so like it's really frustrating. I understand the frustration that it's not turn-based.
Yeah.
And as you noted earlier, there's not another one right around the corner. And so if you're somebody who wants to play at least one Final Fantasy game every decade, there are alarm bells going off when this one comes out and it's not a turn-based, because you're like, I don't know if we get another one before 2030.
Right. Maybe I don't have the dexterity to actually play an action combat game. I think that's where the timeless...
I get it.
I hope that's where the timeless artifacts make it...
upset about, like, to the degree that I'm seeing. I understand where the frustration comes from at your personal level. I don't know why I'm seeing the level of hate that I'm seeing on Twitter.
I think a lot of it then is being hijacked by the console, the console wars, because all of a sudden this is a game that any story of didn't mean sales expectations, pre-orders are down. It's like the answer is just like, what the hell? Like, you're not on Xbox or PC. Of course that was the thing. So that all stems to a truth of what the hell's going on with the bean counters over at Square Enix, going like, because every story of every game they release didn't meet sales expectations. And that story for 16, even if it's like game of the year game, that story, no matter what, people are like, I didn't play it. This is the reason. See, it's a garbage game, etc. And people are like, no, it's actually an incredible game. But Square Enix is clearly delusional about what, how many actually are going to sell. And so I just wonder, because in the other corner, I've seen usually from Yoshi P going, oh wow, we didn't really expect that this was going to sell this well.